I'll put a bit more and drop it. We're going to slim complex size. Is that right? All the things. Here, guys, I got AirPods, watch, eyeglass. These guys, I just tried to twist you because I said like I never let them buy this shit. You have to charge. Like, no, it's amazing. I don't have one. I would say so. But that's huge difference. I don't know what the sound of that. What? It's the. I have with the. That's so much better than these. Oh, those are shit. I have like good headphones, but.
I don't know. Yeah.
No, but it's like large. It's so good. No, but the speed of the connection, right? So it's like,
I'll be live. Okay.
right experience. Right experience. All right. See you tomorrow. Yeah. And wow.
Oh,
Solve my problem.
Hello? 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 Ah, there we go.
I didn't hear that. There's a bit of a delay on you. Oh, you've got audio off. Oh, that's oh, you know, that's fine.
Enjoying everything. I just finished the season swimming classes this Sunday.
I think I know how to change mine.
This is the reason it's it was very, very serious. But thank you for this, organizing. I see that you are very happy.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
Yeah. So he's got the stream on there, but we're just trying to get audio.
Oh, I've lost. Oh, that's fine.
Oh, Cameron. I need you, man. I need you to get the live stream up.
Oh, sorry. Hello. No? Wait.
Testing, testing.
Sorry, I have no reception yet.
You're a wizard, Harry. 1, 2, 3. It works, bro.
Out of every potential outcome, only one is I goes up. Very far out. So I think it's probably there's a list. That's what So we should tell people about it right now. So afterwards, are you guys grabbing a couple of drinks, maybe talk about it? Never been this predicament before. You're wrong right now. It needs to be corrected. Yeah, you mentioned a free coach. As someone that you get like not 100 meters away. This meetup is about real stuff, guys. Yeah. Pretend numbers on your page. Stop speculating. You're with it for the rest of us. Alan Cola. I'm not going to get a contract. That's like giving away an Alpha Cola. I'm from it's like transaction fees. It's like you're pay like $30. So I get a lot of people. Well, it's user experience. They give it back to you. Technology behind Ethereum, is watching applications, watching in general. People don't realize that. Some people are starting to realize that there's some people myself and me yeah, let's look at that.
Sorry? Yeah, that was that screen. It's running on here as well. Ah, cool. Yeah, that'll be it. Hello. Okay, sweet. Yeah, because it'd be good to have at the back. Maybe we could, but it doesn't seem to switch. No. Desktop 4, maybe just change what's on desktop 4. Yeah. No. Can we change that? I think it's actually live streaming now as well. Well, yeah, we're doing before I was doing feedback. You must have it linked to something else. Swap displays. Just in presentation, I'm sure Ben will be able to get it back if we just quit out of it. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, cool. If you just go to Chrome, I can play up that thing. Oh, you got that one like just great. Yeah. Because I made it for the very first one. Oh, where's the bar still? I don't see if that shows up in the stream.
Yeah, I know, that's why I told you. That's why I told you.
Do you have your password?
Do you happen to have a spare HDMI to VGA adapter here?
Have a look. Could you put in your password? I certainly locked it. Hells yeah. Is the right one?
Check this one. Thanks. Sorry.
Oh, what happened to the...
So I was trying to put up this. It was working before your presentation, but I accidentally left the computer.
We're live.
Great.
Looks like Owen's camera's gone.
Yeah, no, I'm just looking forward to see what happens. I know that it's just a matter of as you see, it's a matter of like once we build out the product. Oh, that's coming. It's just a matter of more users and getting from there. There's so many possibilities.
Test 1, 2, 3.
I think I meant to mix that with something.
Definitely. I haven't talked to and seen most people, but I have a couple of right now I'm kind of just thinking about
Where's the other they are in the lunchroom right outside. Okay. Are you sure there's none right down the end? The one right down the end should have soft drinks. Oh, okay.
Let's make that happen order. One of those ideas lists. It's one of those things that I would start yeah, no worries. No worries. yeah, we're talking about that weird stuff. Don't worry, bro. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I didn't know they were going to record this. I only knew like 2 hours ago. Well, the live stream on this, yeah. Oh, yeah, so that's maybe not.
But it's being watched.
I don't know, maybe, you know, it's good to have redundancy, right? So you record and they record. Okay. Sorry, this is pretty random. It's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, you guys watch.
Yeah, that's what I just told you. Like 2 hours ago, I was like, live streaming or something like that. Cool, no takes, guys. Yeah.
I did say bad things.
He's awesome at being recording. Yeah. Don't worry, just sit down. That's okay. Don't worry. Are you being sure? Yeah. That's well, you did find that. Yeah. Well, I didn't do 2 hours. I'm also going to buy a casino and shop. Already? Yeah. I don't know. Just also, it's going to be recorded. Yes, okay. Yeah. I think I finished about 9. So I got basically like 8 comments to so just getting it into so we just go hey, help yourself, mate. Yeah. I told you it was free.
I think I need to go.
this, right, which is going to cost us extra money. A little bit. I shot myself down. Yeah, I know, right? Faster. It's going to be great. And if you have done it, and now at the end of the story, I'm sure it's all the game.
Yeah, no, that's a problem. I didn't have because I do play out Australia.
Holidays. I didn't get it.
But even eventually,
And just like
now it's not getting longer now. So that's the final.
This person's like not really a team player.
I kind of underestimated the
I know, right?
We're building on Ethereum, and yeah, so that's where we're deploying our smart contracts. And it's one of those things that
When you're doing the intro, do you want to just mention that the toilets are outside the toilets? Okay. And that's probably the only housekeeping. Okay.
All right, guys, can we grab a seat and we'll get started? Wait, Tris, how do I get out of this?
Just Command Shift F.
Cool. Awesome. All right.
Please fill every seat.
Yeah. There's a few seats down here if someone wants to fill them. Anyone? No? So this is an awesome turnout. This is definitely the biggest SydEthereum we've ever had since we launched this, started this meetup back in 2014, well before the crowd sale. So this is really, really cool. Thank you guys and girls for coming out. This is really awesome. It's only up from here. So a few housekeepings. The toilets are just out there. Feel free to grab a beer or a drink from the, I think, soft drinks from the fridges.
And fridge, yeah.
Yeah, the end fridge. So we've got a bit of a lineup tonight. So Ben's going to just give a bit of an intro to what Ethereum is, how to buy Ether, and some cool stuff he's been doing with machine learning. I'm going to try and explain a new project that I'm working on. Then we'll have another drinks break and networking. And then we'll have a guy Skyping in from Spain to talk about his project. And then some other guys from Block 8 talking about their projects as well. So I think the reason why a lot of people have come here tonight is probably because of the price rise in Ethereum. So I really, really, really want to iterate that, reinforce that this is not an investment club. The price rise of Ether does not have anything to do with Ethereum. It's kind of like secondary. It's just like it's just a way to raise capital and to make some nerdy devs millionaires so that they can then change the world. Can I just get a raise of hands? Who is actually new to this meetup? Who's here for the first time tonight? Wow. Awesome. That's so cool. So yeah, hopefully we can kind of just introduce you into what Ethereum is, what this crazy, mad crypto world is and fake magic money is, and what you can actually then build with that, and how this is going to change the world, how this is the new kind of epoch of the internet, the new evolution. We're going to decentralize the web and finally bring power back to the people and away from these kind of central authorities that control our lives. So anyway, with that, I'll hand it over to Ben.
Good work, man. Oh dear.
Does anyone know the shortcut key to swap the screens back?
Command P. Or sorry, not Command. Windows.
Okay, I'll just.
What's the Mac? Never mind.
Yeah, I'll just. I'll use. Nathan, it's your laptop, mate.
Do like 4-finger thing.
Okay.
The other desktop? No.
Yeah, I just want the presentation up there, and then. Does that work?
System preferences.
Oh, swap displays. There we go. All right, at the top. We're off to a good start, people. Thank you. Ethereum will solve this problem. That's an app idea. Presentation on the blockchain.
Is that on like another screen?
No. So go display it. Yeah, and then up the top there's a swap display button.
It doesn't show it on this one.
Can you get your mouse over to that screen?
There we go. Swap displays.
Brilliant.
Cool. Oh, and also I'd just like to thank Atlassian for providing the venue and the drinks and everything. So Ben works at Atlassian and he helped organize all that. So
No problem.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you. All right, guys, thank you very much for coming tonight. So my name is Ben, as Nathan said, and tonight I'll be talking about what is Ethereum, how does it relate to the blockchain, how can you buy some Ethereum, what is like the price. Again, Nathan said that the price outlook doesn't matter, but I want to mention the price outlook and maybe give you a new perspective on it. And then at the end, I'll be talking about a machine learning project that I've been working on to trade cryptocurrency pairs on exchanges. Okay? So first of all, I want to welcome 86, I think, or 68 new members to the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance. That's incredible. That got announced this week. Including places like BP, BNY Mellon, Intel, Microsoft, UBS, National Bank of Canada. These are all corporations that have, and organizations that have agreed to basically move towards an Ethereum-based blockchain with their internal blockchain projects. That's amazing. So what is the blockchain? I listened to a really, really interesting podcast like 4 or 5 weeks ago that just blew me out of the water with a really simple explanation, okay? And I hope that some of you recognize this. So I want you to imagine a prison that has 5 gangs. There's no central authority. The guards and the government are not going to participate in any kind of favor or collateral exchange. So how do these gangs keep track of who owes, or what gang owes what other gang favors within this prison? Okay. Well, the solution is a distributed ledger. Each gang keeps a separate book of transactions and favors that have happened between every other gang, and they synchronize them at lunchtime or at the end of each day if the guards will let them, and they each keep each other in check. That's the fundamental idea behind the blockchain. So it's trust without a central authority by keeping a ledger that everyone has a copy of. So that actually happened. If you want to go to this link, you can actually listen to an interview with a guy who stole a bunch of Bitcoin, right, from an exchange. And he actually went to prison, and then he started a distributed ledger within his prison. Apparently it went very, very well. He was released from prison, and now he's a multi-millionaire blockchain app developer. So there you go. Maybe crime pays. I don't know. So a little bit of background to the digital blockchain, Bitcoin. Can't believe it, but it started 8 years ago. The origin is unknown. We hypothesized that there was someone named Satoshi Nakamoto, but maybe could be an Australian fellow. I think maybe he was lying, but it could have been a group of people. We don't really know exactly what the origin was. If someone wants to correct me on that, be welcome. The major innovation of blockchain is not, I think, as a medium to exchange wealth, but the blockchain itself. That is the key technology. That's the distributed ledger that I just talked about. Blockchain is in the lead because of a network effect that it has. It was the first to the scene, and it has proven to be a good store of value. I mean, its price is like doubled, right? It's a good store of value. Unfortunately, because it's the first, it's very hard to make changes on it. There's a lack of consensus about the direction that blockchain is going on. Scalability issues, like I know today there is 90,000 transactions waiting. That's like you wait 45 minutes to an hour or more for a transaction to go through. That's not going to work when we're up against something like Visa and MasterCard, right? The answer to that for blockchain, at least, is either a fork or side protocols like the Lightning Network. I'm hopeful. I think it's good for the ecosystem if there's competition. I think it's good for the ecosystem if Bitcoin can get its house in order and add more things or have side chains or something like that. I think it's good. Ethereum came on the scene about 2014. It was proposed by Vitalik Buterin. I hope I got his name right. It's a decentralized, open-source, blockchain-based computing platform that features, unlike Bitcoin, user-generated scripts that are stored on the blockchain and executed by nodes participating in the blockchain. Ether is the unit of payment that exists between these Ether nodes and Ether addresses. So I think if the best way to break it down is if we were just to have an Alice and Bob kind of comparison, Bitcoin, you send money from Alice to Bob, done, right? With Ethereum, you can say, I want to send money to Alice and Bob if it's the 1st of January 2018 and Bob has less than 10 Ether in his wallet. That seems very simple, but let your mind percolate on that. It's very powerful. It's Turing complete. The scripting that Ethereum allows is Turing complete. It has one-click install mining transactions, wallets, iOS, Android, Linux apps. Everything's there if you're willing to go searching for it. It's general purpose. You can create custom applications on it, custom coins and tokens, which have taken off massively recently. And there's a few other things. So let me get through this list. Voting systems, file storage through Swarm, which is an addition to the Ethereum, not the Ethereum protocol, to the underlying protocol. Inter-process communications through Whisper, parallel computation through Golem, multi-signature, multi-party escrow accounts, financial exchanges like Gnosis. So, by the way, the things in brackets here are projects that are already live. You can go and use these, right? Savings accounts, domain name registry. We had the Ether naming service, Ethereum naming service that was recently successfully launched. You can go and buy a domain name now on Ethereum. That's pretty amazing. Company governance, self-enforcing contracts, agreements, crowdfunding platforms, prediction markets, smart property, intellectual property, nation-state constitutions, and unkillable applications and an unkillable Internet 3.0, right? Pretty cool. Just as an example, instead of trading coins, shares, you can buy and sell assets on the blockchain, encode assets to the blockchain using a unique key. So like, for instance, your car registration, or maybe in the future, cars themselves will have an address. You can trade cars on the blockchain. Could be used to automate the entire auto market and sales market. So you could put every second-hand car sales place out of business overnight, potentially. The blockchain becomes an inventory tracking and exchange mechanism for all hard assets. This is actually being used in shipping at the moment. I forget the company name, but there is a shipping company that is starting to keep track of all shipments on the blockchain. Pretty cool. Right? So you can imagine a day where you want to hire a car, you open up an app on your phone, you interact with the blockchain, and then you walk up to a car and NFC or near-field communications or something like, well, that's NFC, allows you to just unlock the door of the car, and it's all done by the blockchain. There's no central authority, right? This is the Mist browser, so this is the primary access point into the web side of the Ethereum blockchain, and this website here is actually rendered from the blockchain. This is the Ethereum name service, where you can go and register domain names on Ethereum. This is something really cool for me. Like, I actually like watching this. This is ether.camp, which is a website that you guys can load on your phone right now if you want to, and you can actually see right now contract invocations happening. So that top entry just there is actually a contract stored on the Ethereum blockchain being executed by nodes that are participating in the blockchain. And I definitely see a future where you can go to this website and you'll see these fly by as millions and millions and millions of pieces of software are being executed on the blockchain. It's going to go off. So what's wrong with this graph? Right. It's volatility. That's right. Someone said it's old. That's right. Yeah, it's old. So this actually shows a price increase and then following crash of Bitcoin in early 2017, right? So if you had bought in at, say, around 1,000, you would have lost a heap of money, right? But if you had held on 5 months, you would have made a return of over 120%. Okay, so this is the Bitcoin market. This is the crypto market. It's extremely volatile. This is Ethereum. Again, there's another problem with this graph. It's from January to, yeah, exactly. It's old. It's 2016. So if you had bought in at, say, right at the end there at $20, and then it went down to 10, you would have been crying, right? You would have been pretty unhappy, especially if you put in a lot of money. But if you had held on for 12 months, you made a return of 2,000%, okay? So that, just hold on, okay? Don't focus on the price too much, but if you are a participant in the markets, just hold on. Don't pay attention to the price if you believe in the technology.
But it's not investment advice.
That's right. Yeah. Asterisks. Yeah, thank you. I'm going to lose my accounting license. Okay, so, I mean, my first dot point there is exactly what I just said. There will be future 50% price crashes. Like, just take that as a given. This is a volatile market, okay? Believe in the technology itself. Sorry? Oh. Total equities, money, debt, and bond derivative markets are in the tens of trillions. Vanguard, if anyone's familiar with Vanguard, they manage $4.5 trillion in stocks. Microsoft has a market capitalization of $600 billion. The current market capitalization of cryptocurrency, that's every single coin, every single token, Ethereum, Bitcoin combined, 70 billion, right? Given the future capabilities of the technology, I personally, I don't know about you guys, but I think that it has room to grow, okay? Like someone, I forget who said it, but it was said yesterday that the entire cryptocurrency market is something like 50 minutes of the global GDP over the course of a year. I think it will be more than 60 minutes of global GDP in the future, especially if it's in charge of managing all these transactions for goods and services. So I don't feel like I'm getting in too late, okay? Read up, know what you're buying, try to see the value in the technology, and remember that Ether is just a payment unit for computation on the Ethereum blockchain, okay? There are going to be many more applications to it, but just understand fundamentally what you're buying if you do buy it. Should you invest too? Majority of your money should be in a bank. This is for people like really new to the scene. The majority of your money should be in a bank. You should have an emergency fund. You should know that you don't put your life savings in this. Like that, we all have like that uncle who put a lot of money on the races and the horses and it didn't turn out very well. So just don't do it with money that you're not afraid to lose. Okay. Cryptocurrency is on the far end of a speculative and risky asset scale. It's way beyond stocks. It's way beyond index funds. Only deposit what you're willing to lose. But if you believe in it, maybe, I don't know, chuck your life savings in it. I don't know. But, anyway. So wait for a 50% crash. Kind of stressful, if you ask me. Probably the best way to do it is just dollar cost average yourself in. If you believe in the technology, ignore the price. Just put in like $100 maybe every month if you can afford it. If you can't, don't. And just hold on to it for a few years. You know, that's a strategy that I advocate. So buying Ethereum. First, you want to generate a wallet. This is a JavaScript-based website that you can go and create wallets on. Wallets are where you store your cryptocurrency coins. A little asterisk on this is this website promises to be client-side, but unless you're actually right-clicking and inspecting the JavaScript, you won't be 100% sure that they aren't scraping your private keys as they generate them. Okay, so just be aware if you use this website that it's a little risky, but it is probably, in my opinion, the easiest way to generate an Ethereum wallet at the moment. And the Ethereum community is pretty happy with this website. Like it's open source, and people have adapted to it, and they really like it. So you want to click Generate Wallet. You want to type in a password for your wallet. It'll give you a file that you can download to your computer. That is a private key and address file and your password together form your wallet. It'll give you your private key and a QR code, which you can print out. I highly recommend doing that. There have been many, many stories, including in the Sydney Morning Herald yesterday, about people who just stored their wallet on their hard drive. They lost it in a trash tip, and then that's millions of dollars gone, potentially, right? We know this story. So what you want to do is print it out, keep a separate copy offline somewhere. So here's the successful details. There's our address, our private key, our address is a QR code, and everything that's inside our wallet. If you're a bit more hardcore and you're more security conscious and you don't want to generate your wallet on the internet, you can do it via the command line. Go to this address here at GitHub and just do gef account new. That'll produce a key store file and an address which you can deposit Ethereum to, okay? And again, you can then go and back this up offline. This avoids going to that JavaScript website, which may be insecure unless you're inspecting the code. Mist is another alternative. If you're not familiar with the command line, you can download the client. This is the official Ethereum, I guess, GUI client, and you can generate accounts and wallets from here as well. And it offers the same backup capabilities and QR code generation capabilities. That's at that address there at GitHub. So once you have all those things, you should have an address, a private key, and a password that only you know. You want to keep your private key and password extremely safe. It's okay, probably okay to expose your address. Don't be too liberal with it. Back up all of them in multiple locations. Don't throw away $1 million hard drives, as I mentioned. And also maybe get an offline wallet here. So there's a really good website that offers ledgerwallets.com. The Nano S, there's actually dozens of them now. So, yep. Yeah, good. Yeah, they're really popular with the cryptocurrency scene. It's a really great way to store securely your wallet, especially if it ends up being worth millions or tens of thousands. So in terms of buying Ethereum, how do we do that? There are dozens of ways to do it, okay? I'll talk about a couple more at the end of these slides, but this is just how I did it, okay? You don't necessarily have to follow this, but this is just how I've done it, and I've verified the process. So I signed up to CoinJar, which is a website that's available in Australia. Okay, they comply with local regulations and laws. Sign up for an account. There's an identity verification process because they do work with financial instruments, so they're subject to regulation. They do need to verify your identity just like a credit card. That'll involve you uploading a picture of you with a license or a passport or something like that. Then up the top in the right-hand corner, once you've verified your identity, there's a quick deposit button. If you click that, it'll produce a biller code, a BPay biller code and reference number, which you can then deposit Australian dollars to. Okay? Once that's done, well, while you're waiting for that, it takes about 1 to 3 days. While you're waiting for that, you probably want to go to an exchange, and this is where you're going to actually take the money that you deposit in CoinJar and turn it into Ethereum, okay? It's kind of a two-step process here. First, you put money into CoinJar, then you use CoinJar to go to an exchange, then you trade for Ethereum, okay? So this is a really cool website called CoinMarketCap, and it keeps track of the largest exchanges in the world by volume. So you can see here there's a Korean won-based exchange, Coin One, that did 86 million in 24 hours. The largest, I guess, English language exchange is Polonix, and that's just the one that I'm going to be showing you guys tonight. So you go to that website, sign up for an account. They also, because they're an American-based website, they comply with American financial regulations. You have to verify your identity again with them. Once that's done, you can go up to deposits and withdrawals, and you'll see a Bitcoin address which you can deposit funds to. This will allow you to do exchanges. You put that address into CoinJar and you move 1 cent or more, hopefully more, into your account. You wait a few hours because the Bitcoin transaction system is very slow at the moment. And then you go onto the exchange that you signed up for earlier, and you should see a little bit of Bitcoin waiting for you. Unfortunately, at the moment, I have 0 because I didn't actually deposit any. And then, sorry, I'll just go back. So this is the exchange screen, and on the lower left corner, you'll see a Buy Ethereum section. If you just populate these fields with the price and the amount that you're willing to buy, then you'll have a successful order. And then you can go back to deposits and withdrawals, and you can withdraw your Ethereum. And then up in the top there, you'll see the address that we generated earlier with our wallet website, my Ethereum wallet website. So that's the 3-step process. You move Australian dollars into Bitcoins, you move your Bitcoins to the exchange, you trade for Ethereum, and you move it, I guess it's 4 steps, then you move it back into your wallet. Okay, then we can check that it's arrived, and I actually ended up doing a transaction, and you can see there 0.017 Ethereum has arrived. Okay? So some other options for buying Ethereum, you can buy direct AUD to Ethereum on a place called BTC Markets. That's actually got a lot of press recently. Apparently it's quite safe, so I haven't used them personally, but I've heard other people vouch for them. It's simpler, faster, but because they have a lower liquidity compared to United States exchanges, they have like a higher cost to each Ethereum unit, so just be aware of that. A couple of other alternatives. There's Shapeshift.io, but that only accepts Bitcoin, so you need to do an exchange via something like CoinJar first. There's Local Bitcoin, again, that's just for Bitcoin. I think maybe they do Ethereum now, I'm not sure. Cointree is another offering. So what's the future? I think that eventually we'll just stop looking at the price in USD and AUD. I think that a day will come where we stop looking at the price. It won't matter anymore. Ethereum will be your salary. It'll come from an Ethereum contract to an Ethereum distributed organization. It will be the medium that you use to pay and consume digital content will be hosted on the Ethereum network, distributed, unkillable, like versions of Netflix and Spotify, etc. Even buying things like renting cars or buying cars and trading assets like housing, it will happen on the Ethereum blockchain. So eventually maybe fiat will go away. I don't know. That's probably a 100-year dream, maybe less, but I think that's what's going to happen. So get involved with the community and start developing. If you want some further reading, I'll share these slides on the Meetup website so that you can go through them at your own pace. How are we doing for time? We're okay?
10 to 7.
You mind if I show the machine learning stuff? Yeah, cool. All right, guys, this is slightly shorter. I'm sorry I dragged you through that last one. But this one's really cool. This one's dear to my heart, right? So trading cryptocurrencies using machine learning. This is not something that is specific to the blockchain. You can apply this methodology to stocks and other assets, but I think it's really cool applying it to cryptocurrencies because they trade 24 hours a day on the exchanges, and that's really cool. Again, these slides will be on the Meetup page after this presentation, so you don't need to record it or anything. This is going to be a lot more technical than the previous deck, so if you zone out, sorry guys. So first of all, you want to retrieve a time-based series data set from an exchange, and that's just the prices to the date. Price to date, price to date, price to date, price to date. Okay? I'm here using Polonix. That's the exchange that I mentioned earlier. They expose a really nice API. It seems to be quite reliable compared to their website, which kind of sometimes a bit slow, but their API is quite good. There's a Polonix library that is an open source project, which you can find on GitHub. I've provided the link there. If you go and download that, you can create your own projects in Python. So the first thing I'm doing here is we're grabbing the crypto coin and we're grabbing it from 2015 to 2017. And in this case, I'm using Bitcoin just because there's a bit more market liquidity in Bitcoin at the time that I built this tool. Recently, Ethereum has met or I think slightly exceeded the liquidity in the Bitcoin markets. So maybe it would be a good time to test this kind of tool out with Ethereum. But for the moment, I'm using it on Bitcoin. So I'm grabbing a time-based series data set of the price and the time, and then we're saving it as a pickle file, right? That's something that's in Python. The result is we have a pandas data set that includes the open, the high, and the close, and then we can calculate the return. The return is important because that's what we're using to decide if it goes up or down, and that's what we're interested in predicting. If we can predict the movement of the price, then we can profit from it. Second step is we want to take that data set and we want to move our return back 1 hour because we're interested in predicting the future, right? So we want to use the current prices. Say if we got the price on Monday and the return for Monday and Tuesday, we want to move Monday's and Tuesday's return back so that Tuesday's return is predicted by Monday's price movements, okay? So that's what we're doing here. We're moving the return back 1 day, so that when we train the model, we can predict the price in the future. The second thing we need to do, and this is like super, super important whenever you're doing machine learning, is you want to split your data set into a training set and a testing set. You're going to train your model on the training set, and then you're going to validate your model against the testing set, okay? So what this code here is doing is it's grabbing our starting date for our data, then our test date, which is the start test date time 2017, 1st of January, and we're saying that is where we're going to slice our data in half, okay? And after that, it will be the testing set where we'll actually run some simulations. The Another thing that we do here, this is just something that I added to the code because I thought it was kind of interesting. It did help actually in improving the machine learning. Was I don't just take the return for the previous day. I take the return for the previous n days, 9 days, 12 days, whatever you want, because it seems that there is some information that the machine learning model can use that exists in the price movements that have happened way in the past. Okay, so you're not just interested in the day before. You're interested in the past as well. Because the data isn't complete, sometimes there's server outages or things like that. We interpolate the data and we fill in any gaps, any nans or nulls, and then we split the training set. And this is the function that splits the training set. It's just taking the date of start test, and it's just it looks complicated, but it's really just splitting the data set in half. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to run it through one particular type of model, which is called a random forest tree. This is not the deep learning that Google does. I'm sorry, guys. It's a little bit simpler than that, but it's a very, very effective method. This is somewhat of a detailed diagram, but the idea with a random forest tree is it takes random features from your data set, from your training data set, and from the expected output, which is going to be our price movement, our return up or down, and then it's going to take those random features and it's going to build this decision tree, which is going to answer yes or no to each feature that it looks at. And then the result is that after n layers, we're going to, at the end, decide the price is going to move up or the price is going to move down. Okay? Wow, that is you can go to you can do a PhD on this. Okay, just bear with me. So we want to train our model. So we pass our training data into a function that runs it through this random forest classifier. So actually the entire thing that I'm showing you guys tonight, the entire program is actually just a wrapper for this one line here. That one right there. It's just infrastructure around that one line. And what we're doing here is we're saying take 200 estimators and do auto class weighting. This is, by the way, this is a Python library called scikit-learn, which is used all around the world by academics. And train a random forest classifier on the training data, and then save that to disk. Next, we want to get some predictions for our testing set. So we run model.predict probability. That's about 1/3 down on the page. And then something that I added, because I noticed it was a bit schizophrenic, was if the absolute direction is not very confident, so there we've got 0.1, absolute direction greater than 0.1. If it's less than that, we don't do anything. We don't trade. And the reason for that is we don't want the model trading on 1% accuracy. We want it to be really sure that the price is going to move upwards, because we can produce a prediction anywhere between 0 and 1. We want to be more than 10% sure. In fact, if you guys go and run this at home, I'll provide you all the source code, by the way. You probably want to maybe up that to 0.9. You want to be really sure that there's going to be a price movement before you make a trade. Sorry? Oh, no. So the final thing we'll do is we'll actually backtest our portfolio. So we save that model to disk, then we load it into a backtesting function, and that backtesting function will run it against basically a starting capital of $10,000 and 25 shares. This is Bitcoin, so that's where I get the ratio between the 25 and 1,000. It's 25 shares equals $10,000 in Bitcoin at the time I was running this. Then we can graph our results using subplots, which is another Python function. And then we get a graph representing the real price versus our market returns. So on the top, we have the United States dollar versus Bitcoin close price in dollars. So you can see there it starts at 1,000 and ends at 1,800. So that's a return of 80%. And then our machine learning model operating in the exact same market in simulation, not actually in production, but in simulation. If it had operated in the same market on a data set that it had never seen before, this is why we do the split. It's never seen this data before. It's never seen these price movements before. We would lose a lot of money initially. We'd lose 50% of our capital. But then over time, over the same period of time, we would make a 300% return. So the market went up 80%, but the machine learning model was able to extract a 300% return. Okay? So a couple of notes before I finish up. In reality, I did run this with about $100. I broke even at the end, which is not good, considering the market went up 80%. Because sometimes, even though we're running the model on real-world data, there are many inefficiencies in the way that you can trade on these exchanges. They charge a lot of fees, which ekes out your profit. And sometimes the market isn't liquid enough to give you the real price that it's advertising at that particular moment, so you get a worse price. Okay. Mostly due to trading fees and other market spreads. I recommend, I've actually built this into the source code that I'm going to share with you guys. You actually run multiple sequences of the model, training it until you get the best one. That's in the source code. And the reason for that is because the random forest tree starts with a random seed and it's looking at random features. So sometimes you'll run a model once and it'll give you 40% accuracy. If you run it 100 times, you might actually find a model that gives you like 58% accuracy, 60% accuracy. So run it multiple times. Increase the N estimators iteratively, find the number that works for the data set that you're using. Try with other models, try with KNN, SVM, AutoBoost, Brunelli, MBM. If you're really, really keen, I'd love for someone to actually try this. I haven't gotten around to it because I've been really busy, but use the Python library NoLearn and CUDA and Lasagna and try deep learning on this data set, see what deep learning can yield. Maybe it can give you 65% accuracy, maybe even 70, I don't know. That would be pretty powerful. Actually, if you figure that out, only tell me, okay? And then just me, okay? So the other thing that could be done with the accuracy yielded by just this simple model, the random forest tree, is you could do something that I didn't do. This is an idea for you guys. Go and run it against many, many cryptocurrencies at the same time, and see which one yields the highest accuracy, so it's the most predictable, and see if you can profit from that one. Don't just run United States dollars versus Bitcoins. Try and run it against all of them, and then within that 1 day window, find the one that's going to work for you and trade on that. Then maybe the next day, another one becomes more accurate. Trade on that, so on and so forth. So if you want the source code for the machine learning model that I built, you can go to Bitbucket, Crypto Predict public source. Again, I'll share these slides with everyone, and go out and do it. I believe that actually it's okay to do this. Some people have misgivings about algorithmic trading on the cryptographic exchanges and stock exchanges, but in reality, it's been happening now for 10 years now in the stock market, maybe since the crypto market began, and it seems to provide price liquidity, and it seems to provide a more accurate price than humans, which are a bit emotion. That's my opinion, but anyway. So that's the end of my stuff. If anyone has any questions, please ask. Otherwise, I'll hand it over to Nathan. But yeah, thank you. Sorry, I spoke so fast. Anyone any questions? Yeah. Oh, sorry, mate.
What was the starting data? Daily open high flow loads?
Polonix allows you to set a time period, so it was about a year's worth of data every 1 hour. You can change that. You can actually set a number of seconds as your slice. So you could set the number of seconds in a day, and you could get a daily slice, or you can set like an hourly slice. You can slice it wherever you. I think the gentleman is correct. You are correct, sir. Thank you. Very good work. Try different numbers. See what works.
Yeah, more of a comment than a question, but
sure.
Using the Google kernel scraper extension as well as a block ranking tool Holtop, I mean, there's various things that I'm sure you could also combine in order to have not only the data from the cryptocurrency market, but as well as that from news and blogs. And
absolutely.
Policy around it, and then use that as also a determining factor in figuring out when prices can go up and down based off of publicity, in addition to that of historical market data.
Absolutely.
I think
great idea.
That would be like a really great combination.
What this gentleman was just saying is you could combine the market data with sentiment data from Twitter and other sources to decide which way the market's going to go. That's something that people are doing in the stock market. It'd be cool to see it happen in the crypto market. You, sir?
When you're buying and selling
It varies massively from hour to hour. Like I can't tell you what it is at the moment. Sorry.
Does your algorithm take that into consideration?
No, it doesn't at the moment. No, I literally to get it to work, I add a small percentage onto the expected price that I expect to trade at, just so that the buy will be fulfilled, and that's why I haven't done very well. Yeah, if you can more accurately predict exactly the price that your order would be filled, maybe this would work a lot better.
which is exactly where decentralized exchanges that are coming into play
Will help.
Neo.io
Yep.
are going to come into play that will allow you to transfer or make exchanges without as much of a fee.
Absolutely. You, sir?
Sorry, how much profit have you made from this?
I haven't. I've made much more money just holding on to Bitcoin and Ethereum than I have from doing this. This was exciting though. So.
Because if you did, you wouldn't be helping.
Yeah, but I mean that's right. So you, sir.
Yeah, sorry, I just comment really about my Ethereum wallet.
Yep.
The developers actually challenge you to run a packet capture
Yep.
to see if they're extracting data from your entry of your password to your product key.
Fantastic.
But the thing is that there's also a Chrome extension available for my wallet, so my wallet X. Be aware that there is a scam site, MyWallet.io, which don't obviously use. Now, their source code is available on GitHub, and so you can verify that, in fact, my wallet, which I use personally for all my
Same.
Ethereum, 100%.
Yep. The only thing you can't guarantee is that the code doesn't change every time you load the page, like unless you inspect JavaScript every time you load the page. But
Well, I do.
I trust it as well. I do. Yeah. Oh, you do? Okay. Good on you, sir. But that, basically, this gentleman was saying that my Ethereum wallet is quite trustworthy. I think you've been waiting for a while. Sorry. Yep. Yep, you can do. It actually gives you quite a bit of information. I've stripped it down for this presentation. It'll give you 9 pieces of information about each time slice. Yeah. Yep. 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 High, low, bid, ask, median, high, median, low. It'll give you actually quite a bit of information. Sorry, sir? I'm not sure what a best execution algorithm is, but I'm iterating over different models and I'm trying different things to get it to work. Yep. I know I'm not doing that. It's an improvement. Yeah.
Can I just say,
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Look, if you want to go across multiple exchanges like BTCMax.net, Poloniex,
Yep.
Bitrex, they're all expose a REST API. You can do the same thing, and you can aggregate across exchanges to even do to a next level to do your training of your models. Okay, so
Yeah, do that.
just rely on one exchange.
Yeah, absolutely. You, sir. Can you speak up, sorry? Yep. Yes, if you buy here in Australia, you'll pay more. Yep. There's lower market depth here, which means there's basically less people involved in the market. With the United States, you have a population of 15 times the size, so you've got more people in the market, and that means that on average, you're going to get a better price. Yeah.
Australian dollars might worth as much as American.
Also that.
Yeah.
You, sir.
Did you have a pricing key?
That's okay.
I'm guessing it's a jump price, right?
Yeah, that's okay. And it's also locked to a certain IP address, and I don't use it anymore. It's been deleted. So yeah, that's okay. I might hand it over to Nathan, but you guys can come and ask me questions during our interim when we get beers. Just come and ask me questions. Yeah. Nathan, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I haven't loaded up my thing yet. Okay. Sorry, just loading this up. So I'm going to talk to you about a new project I'm working on. It's kind of very early stages, still a little bit of concept forming, but I think there's a seeds of something here that's really awesome, and I've been thinking about this problem for a long time. Where's it? Oh, present. So, nope, hang on. Ben, how do I change this?
Oh, what's up, man?
Swap displays.
It's your laptop, man.
Hang on. I think it's on the wrong screen.
Just want to mirror the displays. That'd be better.
Mirror built-in display.
Then you won't see your notes.
Cool. Okay, cool. Got a fancy little symbol. Oh yeah, I won't be able to see my notes. Hang on. Presenter view. But then you'll see all my notes. But how do I... Yeah, I can do that now. Desktop 4. Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. Success. Okay, cool. Okay. So I'm Nathan Waters. We started SydEthereum with Tristan back in 2014, way before the crowd sale, and we've been growing it since then. I also started Hackathon, which was Australia's largest hackathon for quite a while, and it's coming back again this year down in Wollongong. I also do a lot of like futuristic stuff with Future and High 45. Go look up those videos. So I've been thinking about this problem for a long time of basically like how do we create a better economic system? How do we create an economic system that actually works for everyone rather than the few? And that's been a long kind of journey into how to get here. I haven't just suddenly been like, capitalism's terrible. Like it's been a very kind of gradual transition. First of all, starting with where everyone starts, the education system. Oh yeah, and all my presentations are all in GIFs, so that's the way to do it. So the education system, we all know it's a relic from the industrial era. It basically trains obedient, kind of homogenous workers. They're all taught the same thing at the same pace. It's very linear. You know, if you're in grade 2, you don't speak to the people in grade 3. You definitely don't speak to the people in grade 9. We're segmented, boxed, and kind of separated. And on top of that, it decouples work from education. I mean, we go through our education kind of schooling. We do that for basically a quarter of our lives, and then we stop learning. And then we go into the workforce and we become worker bees. And so we get into the workforce, and the workforce at the moment is really a kind of, it's a bit of a weird beast. So you've got full-time work is actually decreasing, part-time work is going up. Wages have remained stagnant since about 1974. They've decoupled from productivity. You can see actually in the last decade or two that US profits have gone up from about 4% of GNP, gross national product, to about 10%. And at the same time, you can see the graph, the wages, the compensation to workers has actually gone the opposite direction. So it's gone down 4%. On top of that, you've got things like half of millennials now earn less than 20% of their parents, that their parents did at the same age. You've got in the US, 1 in 5 low-paid sector workers or actually have bachelor's degrees, and basically finding jobs is pretty hard to do. On top of that, jobs are, I think they are a form of slavery. They're basically wage slavery. And I think a lot of people are aware of this. A lot of people kind of realize this because there's stats out there that show in pretty much every developed country, you know, UK, US, Australia, the figures range from 50 to 80% of people hate their jobs. And a lot of them actually think they're completely redundant. There's this David Graeber, this guy who writes lots of awesome books. He's talked about how there's all these bullshit jobs. There's these jobs that basically don't need to exist, but they just do to make either other people look good or just whatever, to keep things going. And the other thing too is like, the age-old question, what do you do? If you say I'm an accountant, that instantly tells me that you're an accountant that works 40 hours a week at one company, at one desk. You go there every day in the big commute at the same time with everyone else, like cattle. And the problem with that is that is going to make it much more easier for automation to decimate our entire system. Because if you automate accountants and accountancy, well, then that person who does that their entire life and that's their income, gone. So that this, I kind of hated jobs and I wanted to avoid it throughout university and school and stuff like that. The way out is startups, apparently, but 95. Anyone watch Silicon Valley? Awesome show. Yes. But the problem with startups is that there's a 95% failure rate. It's really hard. Our education system doesn't teach you anything about how to launch a startup. I did a business degree at uni. Teaches you jack shit about launching a startup. All it teaches you is how to be a middle manager at a company somewhere. And on top of that, the startup industry is really all about chasing funding and basically doing, like, this is not for the in rare cases, but I feel like the most part, startups are all about making cash flow positive businesses and just getting your numbers up so that you can eventually sell to a bigger company. So startups kind of become like acquisition, like R&D wings for big companies. And on top of that, they don't employ many people. You look at Instagram when it sold for $1 billion to Facebook, they had 13 employees. So if your startup fails, then you do freelance work. And freelance work is on the rise massively. So there's 50% of, it's predicted 50% of US workers will be freelancers by 2020. But obviously there's all the issues of like no benefits, lots of hours, and you're basically running around doing gig